HTB family, how's it going? Welcome to Hold the Ball, your home of pure rugby league. Before I start, thank you again for joining. This is the first episode of HTB Live for 2023, so things are sort of, I suppose, moving forward. But in saying that, I have a very special guest, Wobbling Jaw Sports. Please, over to you. How have you been? What's been happening? Give us a bit of intro about yourself. Let's go, brother.
Hold the ball, man. First collaboration with you for 2023. And by the feel of things, mate, I think we're in for a huge season. So everybody, make sure you sub and like to Hold the Ball channel. And while you're at it, come on over and give my channel a crack, the Wobbling Jaw Sports channel. Predominantly rugby league, but I'm going to be dipping my toe into a few more sports as the year progresses. But 2023 is going to be a big one for you and I, isn't it?
Look, it absolutely is. And quickly, I know this is the rugby league channel, but just quickly as well, obviously there was another sport that happened today, a big one in that, football. What are your thoughts just quickly on that win there by the Kansas City Chiefs?
Oh, thank you for asking, mate. It's one of the best Super Bowls of the new millennium for sure. And the Chiefs did deserve the victory in an absolute classic.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Yeah, I saw that. Looked pretty good. So again, welcome all. Please feel free to ask us questions and all that stuff there. So basically what we're going to be doing is going through the NRL preseason games, having a bit of a general chat about it, going through the All-Stars game as well, and that's both women's as well as men, going through some news, talking about the 4 Queensland teams as well, and then we'll just see what happens from there. So I suppose, in saying that, we'll just go through this game here. Just first of all, things sort of kicked off over in Mount Smart Stadium over in New Zealand. Had the Warriors hosting the Tigers here in a game that even I was very surprised about, considering. What are your thoughts on the game there?
The best performance by the New Zealand Warriors in a year or thereabouts, mate. They looked very hungry for the victory. I really liked the combination of Tamare Martin and Luke Metcalf. And I'm going to say the fullback was exceptional. I can't pronounce his name. I have trouble pronouncing his name, mate. But the fullback showed some really nice glimpses as well. Overall, man, I'd rate their performance something akin to a 7.5 out of 10. I was very impressed by the Warriors. The West Tigers, albeit this is just a preseason and they only had a few of their regular season starters. It was a disappointing performance. Big Stefano Utoikamanu was arguably their best player. And I've earmarked him to make a big return to form. I like Stefano, but overall the Warriors were very, very impressive. And I think anybody that's put them in the bottom 4 for 2023, even though it's just a preseason game, I think you might be getting ready to rub out that pencil with the eraser.
Yeah, that guy's Wobbling Joe just said it right there. So I am very, very keen. Yeah, look, just quickly my thoughts. I mean, look, with the Warriors, it was good to see. Like you said, granted, it is just preseason though, but it was good to see positives there. As for the Tigers, granted, preseason again, but still worrying, underlining issues perhaps still not over yet. But in saying that, it is what it is. So we jump on to the next game here. Night 16, Sharks 28. Thoughts on the game, and again, granted, preseason we know, but Knights, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It took them too long to get warmed up into the game. When they did, sure, they scored 2 tries inside the final 10 minutes to make the scoreline close, but by and large, they weren't in that contest. Defensively, they looked not the best. The Cronulla Sutherland Sharks fullback, Daniel Atkinson, who played for Italy in the Rugby League World Cup, was probably their best player. I thought he was exceptional in the World Cup, and I thought he was great this past weekend. And shout out to big prop Thomas Hazelton for the Cronulla Sharks from Goulburn. I thought he was a standout player in this game. A positive for the Knights, though, Adam Clune continues to show his class. While he is probably only going to be a backup halfback, New South Wales Cup type of player, I do think Clune is classy. I do think he's got a lot of spirit about him and always has. So I liked Adam Clune, but besides that, there's not a lot of positives to take out of Newcastle Knights' performance.
Yeah, no, I agree. One interesting fact about this game here is that both these teams actually had 50% possession of the ball. That is what I thought was interesting. But yeah, that's right. I agree with you. Hazelton was something else. That dude was Is he in the top 30 for the Sharks? Sorry if I've just put you out there.
I think he is. I think he is.
Okay, because if he isn't, then he's probably made his case there. But I thought he did well. As for the Knights, geez, I mean, yeah, it was an interesting display there. I'm sort of just wondering when they get their full squad together, how's it going to really look, and are they going to really do any damage? Because I just don't think they are, in my honest opinion. Anyway, that's just what I think there. Moving along now, and we had this cracking game here. Rabbitohs 28, Manly 30. Obviously a game, preseason defense thrown out the window. But what were your general thoughts on the game?
I thought South Sydney really did have them by the throat early on in that first half. And then credit to Manly, they fought back really nicely with a standout performance by Cooper Johns, who led the team around quite nicely. Jake Toby, the fullback for the Sea Eagles as well, interjected plenty of times. Maybe one or two passes went astray, but by and large, the fullback for Manly was just a pit bull on this night. The 5'8", conversely, for the South Sydney Rabbitohs, Tapawa, I think that's how you pronounce his name, was outstanding. Holy moly, there's some depth there if Cody Walker, touch wood, ascertains an injury or attains an injury. So overall, it was a good game of footy. More so, it must be disappointing for South Sydney knowing that at 2 or 3 times there, they really had all the momentum. They had their foot on the neck of the Manly Sea Eagles, and unfortunately, they just fatigued and choked it away, albeit just a preseason. But I think they would be a bit disappointed with that.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. Just quickly as well before I get into my analysis, welcome guys. Hope you're well. Feel free to ask Q&As and all that stuff. And please subscribe to our Wobbling Jaw Sports channel. Please do that for me. Now, look, this game here, I thought for mine, like I said, defense, in this game here, it is what it is. But in saying that, one player from Manly I was actually really impressed with, and he's actually played a few first grade games too, is Raymond Tuimalu Vaenga, and he was that winger there for Manly. He knows how to score a try or two, and I think for mine, he's more than ready. He's earned the spot, in my own opinion, to play for Manly. The other player too you touched on, and that's Dion Deupa. Dilpa, that's his name there, for the 5'8" there for Rabbitohs, and I thought he was quite sensational. They kept on referring back to Cody Walker, but I tell you what, this guy here's a very young dude, and I just think give him a few years, and I think he just might be better. In all honesty, I don't know. I probably shouldn't say that, but in my opinion, he just looked the goods. But just going back to Manly as well, yeah, like you said, they just didn't go away. They obviously won at the end. What are your thoughts quickly on that hooker there, Gordon Chan Kum Tong, and he was their hooker there for Manly? What are your thoughts on him? Short player, but boy, oh boy, does he know how to play.
Yeah, definitely. But to be honest with you, he was a player that, when you read up on the stats, his impact really flows over the top of me more in realization, because watching the game live, for me personally, he was a player that just did his work and did it well. But when you read his stats and really think about what he did, I agree with you, man. This hooker for Manly was good, very good. And also, I forget what his first name is, but Fafita for the Manly Sea Eagles as well. There has been a lot of hype about him for a few years now, and I think he showed a plenty of his potential in this preseason comp, and I've seen a bit of him in New South Wales Cup as well, so hoping, fingers crossed for him, that Fafita also gets a first grade debut this season.
Yeah, that's the name there is Viliami Fifita. I'll tell you what, in the NRL, you probably could make a team full of Fifitas. I reckon in one team, I reckon there's so many of them play. I reckon you could. But look and say that's it. So we move on to this game here, and obviously, it's preseason, but still, it was the grand final rematch, if you will. Panthers against Eels. I didn't, unfortunately, watch this match, but what were your thoughts generally on this match here?
To be honest with you, this one was a tough go to sit down and watch initially. Not as tough as for the players though. Like it was 36 degrees out there by the time kickoff came about Saturday 5:30 p.m. or thereabouts. So they did it really tough. The Penrith Panthers, they scored a wild try through a Taruva kick, and then an intercept through Thomas Jenkins. Attackingly, they weren't good. They were kind of lucky to get away with the victory in the end. They won on their now famous defense. Credit to the Parramatta Eels to get back into the game after being down 12-4 at halftime, or a scoreline to that effect. Zach Sini scoring a double as well. There wasn't, for me personally, a standout player for the Parramatta Eels. It's just, I think it's just a performance where it is just a preseason game where they knock the rust off. And for me personally, nobody stood out for the Parramatta Eels. But there were a couple of players for the Penrith Panthers that did. But I think the Penrith Panthers were kind of lucky to get away with a victory in the end.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I suppose another quick question too. The Panthers, despite obviously a lot of their key outs, they obviously still look like a very good team with their reserve grade, I'm assuming.
Oh, certainly do, mate. Yeah, no, they still look well drilled, but it's also the same sort of thing with the first grade side, that their attack does look clunky throughout stages, only because they put so much focus into their defense, and that was sort of a little bit more evident with the attack, with Kurt Falls and Jack Cogger being the halves this past weekend. But they'll be better for the run for it. Taruva showed why he is still so exciting and so anticipated to see more of him this season. I think it's going to be his first fair income season in NRL. So, he showed why he's hotly anticipated. But overall, it was just a tough preseason slog at the foot of the mountains.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Sam. Dragons 18, St. Helens 13. Obviously, for those of you who are unsure, St. Helens are here because they're going to be challenging the Penrith Panthers next week in the World Club Challenge Championship Fund. I'm not sure how they sort of name it. But the point being, I think for mine, before we sort of get into it, this game here was filled with controversy. And the reason why I say that is because obviously St. Helens, right, there's a team from the Super League, and I suppose there's a lot of negative attachment sometimes, with teams from the Super League, particularly when they play NRL teams, the whole, I suppose NRL being class above and all that stuff. And for me personally, I'm not really a big fan of that whole, I suppose, space, if you will, where people sort of look down on the Super League personally. But in saying that, this game here, 18 points to 30, Wobbling, Joe, what were your thoughts on this game? And do you have anything to add to what I was saying as well?
Right. So I am not a watcher of Super League, not because I dislike it, but because just the time zones don't work for me. So I can't comment greatly on that, but I know all about St. Helens over the past 4 or more seasons, ever since I've really started to watch rugby league. And it's not surprising that they came down chock full of beans and walked away with the victory. Against a lesser strength Dragons outfit. However, I did not feel like, even though it was competitive, I don't think the Dragons were ever going to win this game. It just felt to me that St. Helens have been on a mission. They were on a mission. James Roby again showing why he is a rugby league legend, and Makinson as well, being impressive for me as well on the wing. There are a couple of bright spots for Dragons, and in being that I thought it was going to be an absolute blowout, St. Helens victory. But the Dragons kept it competitive for about 60 to 70 odd minutes there. And that young fullback, last name Gordon, did some very impressive things there. I don't know what your opinion on this fellow is nowadays, but Ben Murdoch-Masila also looked quite engaged, bro. And I hope he does well. But it's just a game where I thought that the Dragons were never in it, but good on them. And there is something to work on, knowing that they were competitive for at least 60 minutes of that contest.
Yeah, look, I agree. And I suppose despite what I've said as well, I did also come into this match here expecting St. Helens to win and to win well. Could you say they won well? I mean, that's debatable, sort of depends on where you look at it from. Yeah. But in saying that, it's not like the Dragons, how do I say it? It's not like it's not like St. Helens were ever looking like they were going to lose at one point. I think they're always still ahead despite what the Dragons did. So that is a positive there. You spoke of Ben Murdoch-Masila. It was good to see him play, good to see him run out there in the paddock. I also didn't mind seeing a bit of Conrad Hurrell as well out there for St. Helens. He was a bit of a notable player there. Zach Lomax as well, I didn't mind. In saying that, though, like you said, with the Dragons, granted preseason, but still there's something to build off of that performance there. And, I think for the Dragons, there's probably just maybe a few key players here and there that maybe just need to step up, but I think they're not too far off where they want to be, in my own opinion. Now we go to this game here. Now this game, Storm against the Roosters, and this game here was actually held in Geelong. That's AFL territory for those of you who are very unaware, basically. And I thought it wasn't a bad little game myself. But Wobbling, Joe, what are your thoughts on this match here?
So I was able to catch the first half an hour, and then the rest of the
Okay.
game I was doing family things. But that first half hour was a bit of a tough old watch, just quietly. A lot of drop ball, maybe the most drop ball of any of the games this weekend in the opening 20 to 30 odd minutes there. But besides that, mate, I can't really comment too much on this contest because I wasn't able to watch it.
No, you're all good, all good. Look, my thoughts on this game. Obviously, Storm, right, without their big players, I'll say that the one player in particular that stuck out for me from the Storm team was Sualovi Farongo, and he was their fullback there, dashing through. Very, very fast, quick, agile player for the Storm there. I didn't mind Will Warbrick as well. He was their winger. I thought he had a good game. Unfortunate for Justin Olam, though.
Yeah.
Minutes in the game. Unfortunately, injury there, fractured forearm, I believe it is, and he'll be out for a few weeks. But in saying that, yeah, look, with the Storm, I think a lot of us were thinking, well, for me anyway, despite the Storm, I think I was looking forward to the Roosters because of their names they had. They had Rick the Radley, they had Brandon Smith, they had Sam Walker. So they're not here to muck around. They're here to win the $100,000 quite clearly. I thought for mine, though, it was a bit of a scrappy-ish sort of a start there from Brandon Smith. But I'll tell you what, it's so weird seeing him in a Roosters jersey. It was really weird. I was not prepared for that. Sam Walker was brilliant. I thought for mine anyway. Some may say that they just escaped, the Roosters. But look, in saying that it's preseason, no one's going really hard, I suppose. But in saying that, yeah, thought it wasn't too bad. Lots to work on from both teams, I think. But yeah, Roosters doing well. And I think Brandon Smith as well, I'm not sure if you're aware, he made a comment saying that he thought it was really, just paraphrasing him now, he just said it was a bit weird playing there because he understood all the calls that the Storm were making to the point where he actually forgot what the Roosters were, for, the plays for the Roosters there, which I thought was funny. Quickly, what are your thoughts on Brandon Smith in the Roosters? Big season, yay or nay? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he will be in for a big season. I put aside, obviously, what I do think of some of his antics off the field. He is an absolute war horse in the middle of the pack, man. He runs harder than just about anybody else in the competition. His darts out of dummy half can be 30 meters at a time. So Brandon Smith, I think under Trent Robinson, working with James Tedesco with quick play the balls, Tedesco and Smith working off quick play the balls, is going to be absolutely deadly for everybody this season. So Brandon Smith, I think, will be a success.
Nice. I like it. Look, I agree with you. I think he's actually a missing key. They haven't had a player like him since Jake Friend. And I'm not comparing the two. I'm just saying Jake Friend was obviously a very good hooker. They haven't had one since him. That's no disrespect to Sam Verrills. Not at all. But I just think Brandon Smith is probably going to be that guy they need. All right, so we move over to Raiders against Bulldogs. What are your thoughts on this game here, Wobbling Draw?
I think this is maybe either the most disappointing effort of the weekend, or it's just so overly impressive by the Bulldogs. But I'm leaning more towards that this was a really disappointing outing by the Canberra Raiders. I think their backline was still well enough to do the job. I understand that Xavier Savage did his jaw in, so that obviously halted proceedings and their momentum and confidence. But I think the Canberra Raiders were overall disappointing. I think they had a good enough backline to at least match it. But the Bulldogs inside that first half an hour, or first half anyway, were absolutely sensational to watch, man. Jacob Carraz, bro. Oh, man. He is so exciting, mate. So Jacob Carraz for me, I'm really anticipating to see how his NRL season goes.
Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, look, I agree with you. Yeah, it's a funny one because I hear what you're saying because the Raiders actually had Xavier Savage, they had Jared Crocker who was playing, Matt Frawley, They had Brad Schneider as well. They even had Omri Gula. They had Corey Horsburgh. So, they weren't necessarily out of I suppose first grade players. They still had a few players there. So it was actually, I hear what you mean. It was, it probably wasn't as good as we thought it would be, but it is what it is. As for the Bulldogs, I just thought they look a different team. I know it's preseason. I know I've got to rein them in just a little bit, but they really do look a different team. There's just something about their defensive structure, their attacking structure. They're just something different. And part of me thinks I'm actually looking forward to them next round, actually, when they get, I suppose, 80% or 90% of their troops playing in the next game. Oh, question. Big season for them? What do you reckon?
Mate, I'm after this weekend, I'm sort of kicking myself that I didn't put them in my top 8 in my ladder predictions, mate. Yeah, they're going to be extremely difficult to play this season, and I think that they will not finish any lower than 10th. I've got them in at 10th in my ladder predictions, but man, they're going to be going so close this season.
They've got a lot of depth too, right? Big name players were missing. Gee whiz. But in saying that, I didn't mind Luke Thompson. I didn't mind the Max King wasn't too bad. Another player as well I noticed was Andrew Davey as well. Apologies. Coming off the interchange there, I thought he's Mr. Fix-It to me, does all the little things, and sometimes you just need a player like that, and I thought he was good. Anything you add on? Oh,
yeah. No, I just want to add on to what you were saying about Andrew Davey. I think he is going to be a really underrated signing this year. I thought whenever he took the paddock for Manly Sea Eagles, I thought he sometimes was their best player. I really like the work that Davey gets through, bro. And look, if he can stay injury-free, which unfortunately has not been the case for him over the past few years, I think he can be fantastic for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. And Raymond Fatala-Mariner as well, bro. Speaking of players that have not been lucky with injury, this bloke has fought tooth and nail to get back to where he is right now for the past 3 years, man. And I cannot wait. I am so excited for that bloke to rip in and tear and touch wood, have an injury-free season, bro. Raymond Fatala-Mariner is going to remind people why a lot of people have him so high up on the second row or back row players in the NRL, man. I love the work he gets through.
A little bit of fun trivia as well for you guys. Raymond Fatala-Mariner and myself actually were in the same class in primary school back in New Zealand.
Oh, sweet as. Wow, man. Whoa.
All right. Here we go. We've got the next game here. The Cowboys against the Dolphins. And Wobbling Jaw, over to you.
Cheers, bro. So the Cowboys they got stung by the heat more than the Dolphins did, surprisingly, up in Cairns, bro. I think it got to about the 60th minute and you could tell that they fatigued badly, bro. And obviously there was that zip in the end. There was the zip in the feet of the Dolphins because this was their first real big game on national television or big time TV. So there was always going to be a spring in the step, but so impressive was the halfback Tom Duffy for the North Queensland Cowboys. And when he went off a couple of minutes into the second half, you could see that structurally, attackingly, they weren't as crisp, they weren't as direct as what they were in that first half. No disrespect towards Adam Cook or Ben Hampton, and Ben Hampton played the entire game himself, or Zach Laybart. I just thought Tom Duffy showed why he is an Australian schoolboy, or his class in that department. Also, Teniela Seydrugu, I thought was great. Sylvester Namo, we called his name a couple of times during the World Cup for the Papua New Guinean Kumals, and he destroyed it, and so too did Robert Derby as well, bro. For a winger, I thought he was outstanding. Conversely, for the Redcliffe Dolphins, bro, I think ex-Cowboy Connolly Lemuelu was really, really good, man. Jared Wallace as well for a period there was strong. Good to see Ray Stone back onto the paddock after suffering an ACL last season. Didn't do too much, but you expect that to have him knock the cobwebs off. And look, the tone, no, the tone wasn't set, but Isaiah Katoa, we know we know his potential. We saw him, we called him a couple of times in the World Cup, and he did some fantastic things. But in this game, he was rocks and diamonds, but he's a young player knocking the cobwebs off in the preseason challenge. So Isaiah Katoa, some really good things, man. But yeah, what a thrilling game, but a thrilling game, bro, with Mose Drake scoring a try in the corner with 16 seconds to go, bro. What a way to start off a new Queensland rival chapter between Cowboys and Dolphins, man.
Yeah, look, I'm really delighted that the Dolphins are in. Not only that, not only for the fact that there's more games and all that stuff, but like you said, for the stories, the rivalries, particularly that Queensland. Now you got 4 teams. Now it's all even numbers now, so it's going to be so interesting watching these teams. Queensland has absolutely belt the crap out of each other on a week-to-week basis, and it's going to be really good and fun. But no, honestly, I thought for mine, just touching on Katoa there, you mentioned it, rocks diamonds. We can see what he's done. We know what he's capable of. But then sometimes, when those things happen, when he drops the ball, so on and so forth, we realize that's right. He's only 18, 19 years old. That's right. He will learn. That's right. He will take time to progress and so on and so forth. And that's exactly what we saw. Now, one player I didn't mind seeing for the Cowboys was Daniele Sandrogo. And I thought he was sensational for you guys. I'll tell you what, he's a barnstorming runner. I like what I saw there from him. What were your thoughts quickly on James Tarmo being back? Granted, preseason. What are your thoughts on your old, the old veteran coming back and playing for you guys?
Yeah. He didn't play many minutes, but when he was on, I think it was something like 10 runs for 110 meters, and he made 16 tackles, but 0 missed. So when he was on the field, he was a really good leader. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan that he is back for the North Queensland Cowboys, bro. Definitely.
I think there was some commentary as well that was made on Tarmo saying that Tarmo didn't realize how much he missed the Cowboys until he came back. I can see where he's coming from there. Now to the Cowboys, it was interesting seeing them play. Oliver Gilda, I thought wasn't too bad. Anthony Milford, Katoa, it was all right there. I will say though, there's one key concern I have for the Dolphins. It really is their depth. It really is their depth. When things go haywire, when things don't go well. I know. I know you got the Bromwich brothers in weight. You've got Golf Wussy. I know, but I don't know. Like, Wobbling Jaw, what are your thoughts on that? Their depth. Do you trust their depth to take them past the bottom 4? What are your thoughts on that?
No, I don't. I don't think. For me, it's about trust. It's just I think you're right. I don't think they got the depth to get out of the bottom 4. I think. But that's not to discredit some of the talent that's there, though. Pusa Farmer Sully touched the ball just about every second set that I saw him. The young New South Wales winger, State of Origin under-19s winger, Jack Bostock, while he did have a couple of miscommunications with Jermaine Azarko, that's not primarily his fault, in my opinion. That's Jermaine Azarko, the veteran, that needs to communicate better and louder. And I think Jack Bostock scored the first try of the game. So I really like some of the efforts that he put in. There's a player as well called Simbikin who played in the second row, and he was an absolute toiler as well. So that while there's a couple of players depth-wise that did play well, I agree with you. You touched on it there. When they come up against us full strength eastern suburbs, I don't think they're gonna be able to keep their heads attached to their neck, because it's just going to be on a swivel the entire time, bro. So yeah, depth wise, they need, for example, Jack Bostock, and he would be about 2 years away, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Well said. And just quickly on that, Jermaine, I was pulling my hair out, basically. I was not sure what on earth Isaka was doing. Like, someone of his, like you mentioned it, he's the veteran. He should know. I was perplexed as to why every time he was drifting off near Bostock's place, it was very confusing to see. But in saying that, however, regardless, I digress. Welcome, Dolphins, and obviously this is the first proper taste of preseason NRL, and we're looking forward to seeing them more often. But do you reckon there could be a rivalry brewing from this one here, Wobbling Jaw?
Oh, I don't know about rivalry, but maybe just a cool feud between two Queensland teams. But Yeah, look, the Dolphins in attack. Look, man, I thought. I hope you don't mind us
Yeah.
talking about the
No,
Dolphins for a
no.
bit here, man.
Let's go.
But I think the Dolphins in attack, bro, especially inside the 20-meter zones, bro, they looked really sharp throughout some stages. And before Anthony Milford fell asleep on Jack Gajewski, I thought Anthony Milford was just about the best player for the Dolphins up until
Yeah.
he got sin binned, and then that rocked his confidence for the second half. And so Anthony Milford did some really good things, bro. I think their attack at stages, bro, was rather smooth, was really nice, especially a part where Valence Taware, a rugby union convert to rugby league, got on the front foot of a quick play the ball. And then they pretty much scored the try off Brenton Byra, a chip kick over the top, where he defeated Robert Derby in the contest. So there are positives, but I think, yeah, the defense and the obvious lack of maturity and depth in the Dolphins is a concern, and it doesn't disprove or dispel our theory, or I don't mean to speak for you, but our theory and thoughts and feelings that I don't think they're going to make it out of the bottom four this season.
No, yeah, look, I understand, and yeah, look, well said. But yeah, I suppose I go back to what I was saying beforehand as well. Welcome, Dolphins. You know, this is it. This is it. It's a new start of a new chapter for the NRL. Now we conclude the NRL preseason for week 1 anyway, with this game here between the Broncos and the Titans. Now, over to you, Wobbling. What were your thoughts on this game? And we'll try and dissect it piece by piece.
Oh, man, this was a frustrating game to watch, bro. It really was, because Reece Walsh destroyed it in the first, 50 minutes until he had to go off for a HIA. He went off, and then the Broncos went back inside themselves, mate. But it's so frustrating because the Gold Coast Titans, for me, while there's a bit of controversy that happened in the game, the Titans were very concerning to watch, bro, defensively. Defensively, they're very concerning. But Reece Walsh comes off the field, and there's a sin bin on Oafua, I believe his name is. Correct me if I'm wrong. But and then the Broncos play like they did at the back end of last season, bro. So 24 all is a fair result. There is a player, though, for the Gold Coast Titans that, oh my goodness, I want to see more of him. He was in jersey 19. I can't pronounce his name. Kinakipu. I think that's something along the lines of that.
Keanu
Kinney, apologies, but that young man was zipping everywhere, and I hope to see a hell of a lot more of him this year. For the Brisbane Broncos, Reece Walsh dominated so much that there was nobody else that I could. I mean, I could, but it's him, and then there's daylight, in my opinion. Sure, Jordan Pereira scored a wild try off a Tristan Saylor crossfield kick. But there's really, it's Reece Walsh and daylight as far as I'm concerned with the Broncos. And then, unfortunately, I don't mean to bag the bloke. I don't mean to sound like I'm picking on him, but I didn't see enough from David Fifita. I know he hit the ball up about 8 times, which is fair. A fair go inside the first half of a preseason. I just didn't see enough from him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I gotcha. Look, I'm not going to hide away my disdain for this particular person that Wobbling Joe has mentioned a few times. It's obviously Reece Walsh there, right? I was watching the game hoping to see him get folded in half, and he came out and just basically proved me wrong. He was the best player on the field, I think, by none, in my opinion, particularly for the Broncos. He came in, he did what he had to do. Now, granted, if it was with the injury there, I think he probably takes him and leads him to victory, in my opinion. But I just thought, yeah, he played well. And oh boy, did it just make me grind my teeth. But that's just the way it goes. It was interesting as well because Payne Haas was playing, but he's the captain. But also his brother Cleese was playing for the Titans as well. So you had a bit of a brotherly, rivalry going there. I'll tell you what, I wanted to see a little bit more from Kotoni Staggs, in my opinion. I don't think I saw enough. I'm not saying it was for the lack of effort, but the thing about Kotoni Staggs is that there's some games where he's absolutely brilliant and you could probably put him in the top 3 centers. And there's some games there where he, unfortunately, probably put him in the bottom 4. And it's a bit too much of that, but too much inconsistency, in my opinion. I wanted to see a little bit more, and I didn't. Just the way it goes there, I suppose. What were your thoughts there, Wobbling Jaw, if you don't mind, on Martin Tapau? Tapau, playing for the Broncos. What were your thoughts on him?
I thought he was fairly decent, actually, man. There was a forced offload, and that's just in his game and something we got to accept. There was a forced offload that really nearly buggered it for him, but I thought he was quite strong in defense more than attack, to be honest with you, man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Definitely look good. I will say this though. Now, obviously, both sides not strong. Not with their best squads, but Broncos definitely looked the better despite the draw, in my opinion. But I will say though, the fact that they, like you said, when Reece Walsh went off, they absolutely sunk. That is concerning though. That is concerning. Despite, I mean, what were your thoughts on the negatives on both teams, and do you think that it probably bites them? Or do you think, no, it's preseason, let it be? But it's saying that I almost feel like we've already seen this. Like it's been a repeat pattern for Broncos in the latter end of last season. What are your thoughts on that, Wobbling Jaw?
Yeah, man. I'm with you. So Kotoni Staggs and Reece Walsh sort of went off at halftime, right? By and large, on an average, they went off at halftime. You still had Ezra Mam out there on the paddock. You had Corey Jensen. And yeah, it's a B strength side. But it didn't prove, it's too strong of a word, but I still have a fear and a concern that the baby Broncos still are a year away from maturing. And that's what I think that's what you and I saw when Reece Walsh and Kotoni Staggs went off, that those young minds are still a little bit fragile and that they need to mature. I hope they come out in round 1 and absolutely destroy the Penrith Panthers. I don't want the Brisbane Broncos to fail. I don't, but I can't help the feeling that there's still a lot of drama going on up at Red Hill, and I think there's still a year away from maturing properly.
Yeah, no, nice summation there. And ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, that's the summation there, the ending of the preseason. Now we're going to jump off to another special event. This was the All-Stars game. And just to give you guys a bit of context before we get into the game, this was the first time that New Zealand actually hosted the All-Stars game. It was good, in my opinion. Now, in saying that, it was over at Rotorua, so that's the heartland of it's in the North Island, the heartland. And it was just a good cultural experience, I suppose, for both Indigenous as well as Māori. And it was just good to see. It was actually great. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that it was just good for the Māori to be able to host the Indigenous as opposed to it being the other way around. What are your thoughts on this game beforehand? And then we'll get to the women's and then the men's. But what are your thoughts on the general concept of All-Stars? Yeah, and then we'll just go from there.
Dude, it was a successful day. It was just about sold out. And it needs to alternate now like a state of origin. It needs to go Australia and New Zealand and every year and so on and so forth. I thought it was a very successful event, bro, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself. And I cannot wait until next year's edition, wherever that's going to take place.
Awesome. And we kick things off first with the women's game. The New Zealand Māori women winning 16 points to 12. Wobbling Joe, over to you. Did you watch that game, and what were your thoughts on it?
Dude, yeah, hell yeah, I watched this game, and dude, I saw some comments that were sexist and misogynist towards these ladies. This wasn't a good game. Bro, you're absolutely kidding yourself. This was a terrific game. It really was. For me, Sahara Tamara for the Maori side was so good, man. She was it wasn't quiet. It was just understated. She did the job, led them around, bro. I love Tamara, bro. She's an Eastern Suburbs 5'8" or halfback, but yeah, I really enjoyed Sahara Tamara. Hilmawana, Maya Hilmawana as well, leading from the front. Holy macaroni, bro. I'd be running the other way. I would. And then for the Indigenous side as well, I tipped the Indigenous side because I thought their backline with the likes of I don't want to put my foot in it. I might be getting it wrong. But I just thought, with Jamie Chapman there, I thought they would have gotten it, gotten over the line, had a better back line. But I think the women, the Indigenous women's side, I don't know, man. They looked a little bit flat throughout patches of this game. I think they started flatter of the two, and then I think there was another patch inside that second half where they didn't come out with the right energy, bro. So a little bit disappointing from the Indigenous side, but overall, fantastic game, bro. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, look, I didn't mind the game myself. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't say I watch a lot of the women's games, but in saying that, I watched this one in particular. I thought it was, pretty gritty, pretty tough, and there was a few big hits, a lot of big hits, big runs as well. And I think for mine too, no, it was good. I think for mine personally, I think it was just sheer determination of defense for the New Zealand Māori at the end that got them there. Because the Indigenous were definitely attacking, but unfortunately, a few drop balls, I think, near the end of the game probably cost them there, in my opinion. All right, so now we're going over to the men's, and this game here was a barnstorming game. Very good, very electric. Wobbling, Joe, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, man. Last year's edition was quite fiery. This was less fiery, but there were more points and a little bit more exciting. What can you say about Nico Hines that hasn't already been said? Hold the ball. He was absolutely exceptional in this game. I'm going to say something controversial, and it's not because I dislike the fellow. I can't help but feel the way I feel. Latrell Mitchell and Jack Whiten, they had their incident 1 week ago in Canberra, and they were free to play. And Jack Whiten, defensively predominantly, killed it. Jack Whiten was amazing in defense for the Indigenous side. Latrell Mitchell, for me, he had a good pop-off pass and he had a good run, but his mind was way back in Canberra, bro. I want the world for Latrell Mitchell, bro. I really do.
Yep.
And he keeps putting his foot in it, mate. So I hope this is the one and done. I hope he remains injury-free this year and wins the Dally M and goes on to win the comp. But I think Latrell Mitchell was I think if anyone says that Latrell Mitchell had a good game, I think they're pumping up his tires a little bit too much, to be honest with you, because I think he did two good things and was decent in defense, but nothing exceptional. Selwyn Cobbo scored a couple of opportunistic tries as well. For the Maoris side, Jordan Ricky in the second row, wow. That's what I'm talking about, bro. If he can duplicate that for the Brisbane Broncos, bring it on, man. Finally, that's exactly what I can see or I have seen in Jordan Ricky, bro, and he did really well. James Fisher-Harris, obviously, was a monster. So too Joseph Tarpany. It was a very even contest for 75 minutes sort of thing. I think the better side did win in the end. Nico Hines, but absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, look, I want to follow on what you're saying with Latrell Mitchell because I'm in the same boat as you. I'm a huge Latrell Mitchell fan. All right, I'm a fanboy, if you will. Really, love watching him play. Big fan of him. Love it when he puts on the Origin, the Blues jersey. But yeah, you're right. There's just a lot of controversy, unfortunately, that is attached with Latrell Mitchell, and sometimes, like I said, as much as I love watching him have a good game, I agree with you. This was not one of them. Now the game here generally, I tipped the Māori to win. And I thought for myself that I thought if the Indigenous were going to win, it was literally going to be because of the back line. And lo and behold, Selwyn Cobbo scores 3 meat pies, and he was really good in that game there. I thought he was a standout performer there for the Indigenous team. Sorry. Now, Nico Hines, you mentioned the word controversy. I want to bring it up. That try that he got, right?
Yeah, man.
I believe he passed it to the winger. And I think that was, if I'm not mistaken, I believe that was Tyrell Sloan. And I think Tyrell Sloan kicks the ball, right? A trip and chase, if you will. And Nico Hines collects it and he scores the try. However, on replay, and again, I'm not being biased. There's nothing to that. It's just what I saw. On replay, Nico Hines was about 5 meters offside. What are your thoughts on that? And do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh man, I'm so sorry. Like I don't have it in my mind at the moment, bro. I don't know if I can agree or disagree with you at the moment, bro. But I'm super interested to go back and rewatch it now, man. Wow.
Well, look, I'm not taking anything away from the Indigenous team, not at all. And you're right. I think for my Nico Hines was the best player on the paddock. But I just wanted to maybe even after this, we'll hit the Insta DMs and just let me know what your thoughts are on watching that try there. But besides that, no, I thought it was good. Māori tried. The Māoris definitely tried, but lapses in judgment there regarding their defense. That they just were, they, how do I say this? They took advantage of it. They scored. They were good. They were sublime. And regardless of result there, I think it's actually healthy for the game that, like you said, this continues. Make it like an origin thing. Now it's going to be back in Australia. Next will be back in New Zealand. But in saying that, I thought it was a good game nonetheless, and very healthy for both teams. And like you said, stand-up players for sure. This is a new segment here called Queensland Room. The reason why I call it Queensland Room is just because we're just having a general yarn about the 4 teams that are playing. I'm not sure if you guys know, but on my Instagram, I've actually got a table where I've actually literally focused it on the 4 teams, 4 Queensland teams, right? And obviously it goes according to the NRL ladder as well. That's the only ladder I follow there. So you'll be seeing a lot of ups and downs regarding the teams you follow if you follow one of the Queensland teams. Now, in saying that, Queensland, I want to ask you a question, Wobbling Jaw, if you don't mind. Straight up, who do you think was the best performing Queensland team in this preseason one game week?
Statistically, I don't mean it. It is really tough, man. It's statistically the Cowboys, they completed better than anybody else this past weekend. The Dolphins, for their first real big TV game, they really impressed. The Gold Coast Titans, they did well to fight back to make it a draw in the end, but it was because the Brisbane Broncos had superstars come off the paddock. So I think I'd give the victory to the Brisbane Broncos only just. Then I'd go the Cowboys in second, Dolphins in third, and then Gold Coast in fourth.
Okay. No. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. Yeah. I was trying to figure out a way to have the Cowboys on top, but yeah, I suppose. I think I agree. Broncos, Cowboys, Dolphins, Gold Coast Titans for me. But in saying that, surprisingly, there's literally 0 points. There's no points differentials, nothing between the 4 Queensland teams. So that's for myself who's actually following this 4-team competition. It's insane. My mind is blown. Preseason was crazy in that regard. Also, just quickly as well, before we move to the new next segment, which will be the news, we'll be touching on Kalyn Ponga. If you could pick one good player from each of those 4 teams, if you could, who would you pick? Starting with the Cowboys first.
Alrighty, for the North Queensland Cowboys, I'd go Tom Duffy. From the Brisbane Broncos, I'd go Reece Walsh. For the Redcliffe Dolphins, I would say, I don't know, man. I'm sorry if it sounds like ex-Cowboy bias, but I really was impressed by Connolly Lemuelu's performance, bro. I really was. And then the Gold Coast Titans, the young man that I can't pronounce the name of. Please hold the ball if you can remember. I might pick it up. But jersey 19.
Keanu Kini.
Keanu Kini, yes. So those would be the Keanu Kini, Connolly Lemuelu, Tom Duffy, and Reece Walsh.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm actually looking to keep. I might keep that segment. I like it. But anyway, like I said, keep. For those of you who are following, stay tuned to my Queensland 4-team ladder. I think I'm actually really excited. I cannot wait for next week. Who's going to come first? Who's going to come last? Oh boy. So now we've got NRL news. There's not too much news here, unfortunately. Well, there probably is, but we'll probably hit the main one here. Kalyn Ponga. We all know he fronted the media today after an incident that occurred in August of last season where he was found with Kurt Mann in the male bathroom. As to what happened, no one really knows. However, just paraphrasing Kalyn Ponga, he came in and said basically that he was in the wrong there. He shouldn't have put himself in that position. Wobbling Jaw, I'm not sure if you're aware of this news here, but what are your thoughts of it if you're aware? And give me your take.
I have heard his press conference this afternoon, albeit in the background, and it is no new information as far as I'm concerned. I was absolutely stunned to learn that was the first time that he had spoken publicly since August. That blows my mind, because if you're the captain of a rugby league team, I personally would have come out the very next couple of days, over the next couple of days, and said, no, there was none of that or this going on. This is what happened. Sorry that I brought a bad light upon Newcastle for the weekend, but for Kalen Ponga to not speak publicly about it, I don't know, man. Look, there's the inner sanctum workings and things make sense in that realm, and we're outside of it. So, but at the moment, it doesn't make sense to me why Kalen Ponga didn't come out and nip it in the bud. I haven't even heard from Kurt Mann, to be perfectly honest with you, but that's not what we're talking about. Kalen Ponga just came out and said, yeah, now I know what I know. I would have done things differently. I love this club. And that's all he said. That's all he said. He didn't really say anything through a 12.5-minute press conference. That was his first since August. So, Kalen Ponga, bro, I not that you can ascertain what a city feels and thinks in a weekend, but I was up in Newcastle myself only just recently, and it's Newcastle everywhere, bro. I could not believe how much Newcastle merchandise I was seeing, and going to the stadium and going to the headquarters there as well, bro. It's very proud. It's very proud. It's very Mickey Mouse, man. And for Kalen Ponga, who has not had the one off-field drama, and unfortunately has had an injury-riddled career with the Newcastle Knights, bro.
Yep.
This is the year, mate. Unless if an injury occurs, and again I touch wood, unless if an injury occurs, bro, Kalen Ponga's got to step up and kick some ass this year, man. With Jackson Hastings, I know it will take a few weeks because he's missing the first 2 weeks, and then on top of that, it's going to take a few weeks for him to really get adjusted to life at 5'8". So the Knights, while we're clamoring for Kalen Ponga to hit the ground running and kick some ass, it's not going to be until at least round 6 or round 8 where I think he's really going to find his groove. Hell, if he comes out in his first game this year and has a Dally M 3-point win, fine, whatever, great, good on you. But man, Kalen Ponga didn't really say anything that I didn't already feel or think, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah, no, I agree. And just to add, well, yeah, look, when I was reading the article, I was actually very surprised. I actually was expecting more. I think he touched on his concussions, as sort of alluded to alcohol use vaguely. I'm not sure if he was trying to, I suppose, combine the two as to any relation to what happened in August. I'm not sure, but it was very vague and it was very missed for me. He didn't hit anything. I think he missed a lot. And like you said, he's the captain. So expecting a bit more. As for Kalen Ponga and my thoughts on him coming to the season, look, I love watching him play. All right. But the point is, a lot of the time he can't, I suppose, start well or he's injury. He's got a few injuries. So I'm really hoping that this year here, touch wood, as you said, is a very good year here for Kalen Ponga. I'm definitely rooting for him as well. Last point of the segment here, last little bit here, just a quick fire off, right, for the preseason round 2 games. Don't have to be too articulate in the way you explain it. Just a quick fire off round 2, if you don't mind. Do you want me to start off, Wobbling, or do you want me to start? Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
No, I'll start off. What do we got first game?
All right, so the first game, give me 2 seconds, is Knights and Eels.
Alrighty, so teams are obviously going to be more full strength this weekend. I'm going to go the Parramatta Eels to win 1-12.
Roosters, Manly.
Roosters 1-12.
Yep. Dragons, Rabbitohs. I love these clashes.
Oh yeah, Charity Shield. Hey, Charity Shield. I'll go South Sydney to win.
Yep. And we have the World Cup Challenge. Panthers, Saints.
I think Panthers are going to do pretty all right in this game. I think they're going to win 1-12.
1-12 or 13 plus?
No, I knew what I was saying, but I reckon it's going to be like a 22-10 scoreline. I think they'll win kind of comfortably, bro.
Gotcha. I love this match, especially Broncos, Cowboys. Let's go.
Now, yeah, man. If you don't mind me giving myself a plug, I'm actually attending this game at the Sunshine Coast. So if there are any viewers of yours that are watching this now, I'm going to be there next weekend. I'm going to do a vlog as well. Come and say g'day if you can recognize me. And I'm so excited to have my first trip to the Sunshine Coast. Cowboys 13+.
And look, just to add to what Wobbling Jaw was saying, please, HTB family, if you're there, go there, greet, say hello. Wobbling Jaw's a good dude, and just say hello to him and have a hangout as well. Cool. Warriors Storm.
Ooh, this is a really good game, isn't it? Especially what the Warriors dished up last week. It's just fascinating. Warriors 1-12.
All right. Tigers Raiders. Oh, this is a very ironic game considering the poor performances you could say from both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go the Canberra Raiders. Canberra Raiders 1-12.
Okay. And you got a comment here, Taylor Brooks. We're all reveling in King Sam's presence tonight. I love the voice. Yes.
Thank you, man. That's so nice.
So good. And we got two more games here, Doggies and Sharks.
Oof. I'm really looking forward to this because I think it's going to be a really cool clash of styles. The defense of the Sharks, or that's the moniker they have, in my opinion, and then the attack of the Bulldogs. Oh, I'm gonna go the Sharks. I don't feel confident, but I'm gonna go the Sharks.
Ooh, okay. Last game, another Queensland match, Dolphins versus the Titans.
Oof. I'm gonna go the Gold Coast Titans.
Yep, gotcha. And we have this last question here before we close things off by Big Bash King. Sorry, what Sydney NRL team do you believe would play an NRL game in Tassie?
All right. Well, I don't know. Just I guess you'd have Melbourne Storm as one of the two combatants. Just because there's already like an affiliation with Hawthorn and North Melbourne, there's already sort of a Melbourne vibe down in Tasmania. So Melbourne Storm would be one of them. And I guess to fair income sell it out, you'd go South Sydney, but you'll be buggered if Storm with South Sydney are going to give up a home game to each other. So, if I had the Midas touch, if I was the ruler, I'd go Storm versus Rabbits.
Okay. Yeah, look, for mine, I see either West Tigers or Knights playing there. I don't know why. That's just the two teams that sort of jump to me, particularly the Knights. I don't know. I think they might be the one there. But look, in saying that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. I really hope you enjoyed yourselves. Before I let Wobbling and Jaw have a yarn quickly as well, concluding, please give them a follow. Again, massive rugby league fan. But again, if you're interested in other sports, if you want to dive into other sports as well, he is your dude to go to as well. He'll give you the updates and all that stuff there. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he has to give us for this year, which is a big year. Not only for him, but us, me as well. We're going to be collabing as well. You'll be seeing a lot of us together, commentating, giving you guys a bit of a taste on what on how we call the games. We definitely had a lot of fun doing it in the Rugby League World Cup. And now we're going to be bringing our quote-unquote expertise, if you will, into the NRL field. So, Wobbling Jaw, any final thoughts, and what do you want to say before we head off?
No, thank you very much for having me tonight, mate. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I hope we can do this again. We will do it again later on this season. What do you reckon? Do we make it publicly known that we've been talking about next Sunday? Do we want to do it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, on this channel, Hold the Balls channel, next Sunday, Dolphins versus Titans, watch along commentary with Hold the Ball and myself. Lock it in. This will be the first big dual stream for him and I this year. That's right, just the first. It's coming next Sunday. Watch this space, guys. Dolphins, Titans on Hold the Balls channel next Sunday. Cannot wait.
Awesome, man. Thank you for that plug. And yes, please do. Follow Wobbling Jaw as well. He's not only on YouTube, you can also find him on Twitter as well as Instagram as well. But in saying that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you guys Sunday. Remember, that's where we're commentating. Take it easy. See you guys next time. And Wobbling Jaw, guess what? He knows how to hold the ball. Take it easy. See you guys next time.